it's interesting that we're talking about this subject because you wouldn't think that a movie about an entertainer would cross over into that nasty kind of Trump-like politics, but it has.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have never gotten deep into Queen, but you gotta love the brio, the energy, the charisma of Freddie Mercury. I mean, he was over the top, but he had a style that was really like no other. And those songs, the reason they click is they have a sustainability to them.
Well, the audience is a big part of the songs. You know, We Will Rock You.
Yeah.
And he was a bigger-than-life performer. And, you know, you say the names Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson, and Prince, and Freddie Mercury's right there with him.
I think you're right. Now, normally we don't go into a general movie review on the show. I mean, I talk about cultural issues, but you raised this with me, and you said, if I can paraphrase what you told me before we turned the cameras on, that you had heard bad reviews about this, and you didn't want to prejudge it, you didn't want to get the spoiler, but you went in there with low expectations. Tell me a little bit about, first of all, how is the movie, and then what was it about those reviews? What do you think is going on here?
Well, I think something's going on for sure. As I went into the movie thinking it was bad, and then after I saw the movie, I heard how bad it was. But I loved it, and I was with my 18-year-old son, who's a guy who plays guitar and all that. He loved it, and the audience was full of people with their teenage kids that were coming out going, "Wow, this guy Mercury, who the heck, you know?" And it was one of the best rock and roll movies I've ever seen. I think the only one that I liked as much, I guess, was La Bamba. I love that, and I also liked Almost Famous. It's right there with those movies, and the audience has decided. I mean, it made $100 million over the last 2 weeks. In fact, it won the first weekend, even though it was getting trashed by everybody. Now, the politics of it, I guess, trying to figure it out, but there's a few things in there. There's political things about where he was from. Obviously, the whole business of, his sexuality, which his whole life was an interest. He did not want to talk about that. Yeah. And, I think that perhaps the story wasn't enough about the gay part of his life that maybe the critics would have liked. I don't know, but that's kind of what I'm reading into it.
That's the thing. I mean, everyone who's a success has to be grabbed politically. Look at Taylor Swift. For so many years, she stayed quiet about politics.
Right.
And she was practically bullied into saying, fine, go Democrats. And can there be someone who can just be about the music? I mean, there was a little clip in the trailer there. I make music. What more do you need to know? The criticisms in the movie reviews you mentioned, were they angry that the play was not more about gay politics and gay action? It was too much a musician's movie?
I read one piece in Vanity Fair talking about Sacha Baron Cohen, who was originally signed on to play Freddie Mercury, and I think would have been great at it. And it quoted him, and he was on Howard Stern's show talking about how he wanted to go more into the gay lifestyle, into the clubs in Berlin, and talk about Freddie's life there. This was in the movie. They alluded to it. They did not hide it. And we all know that was a different time. I mean, if Freddie Mercury were alive today, he would be okay to be married, have a family, and all those things. At that time, there was shame to it, and it wasn't very fair. And he was really conflicted because of his background. But he would not have liked, and the Queen guys have said this, the focus of his life being in the bathhouses and all that stuff. That was recreational Freddie, but he was about the work. He was about performing in the audience. And, there's clips in the movie, even in that trailer, where the press are really hounding him. And there's some great lines they're saying, tell us about your sexuality. Look at the reporter. Let's talk about your sexuality. Yeah. He'll throw it right back in their face. He was very private about that. And
so today's critics they were sort of echoing those reporters of the day. Come on, talk about sex. Come on, talk about your lifestyle. He said, no, I'd like to talk about my
There's
songs.
a line in the movie where he told the members of Queen that he had AIDS. And he said in there that he wasn't going to be the poster boy for AIDS. Well, I'm sure that rankled some people. Now, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Maybe at that time he thought of it differently, but he did not announce that he had AIDS.
He probably didn't want to be defined by that.
He didn't announce he had it until the day before he died.
That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show, weekdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Every day I do a monologue, interview a guest, and read my fan mail and my hate mail. To subscribe, go to therebel.media/shows.